So, what's up with the mask? It is my feeling that we focus too much on the messenger and not enough on the message. So it doesn't really matter what I look like. What matters is intent. Why am I here? And it's because I truly believe that words, simple words, can help to save this world. This is called Remember. Do you remember how great your conversations were before you ever owned a cell phone? And how useful your hands used to be before you carried one? Do you remember how beautiful the images of the clouds were? And how easily they could catch your interest versus a 2.4-inch LCD screen? Do you remember when an apple and a blackberry was just a nutritious fruit? Do you remember when you didn't need a website to keep track of your friends because your hand does it so much more accurately? When the most extreme form of cosmetic surgery was someone getting a mole removed? When 16 channels were more than enough, where reality was found by looking out of a window and not into a TV screen? When MTV played music? Do you remember when you were more inclined to go outside and play a sport than sit on the couch and watch someone else do it on TV? Do you remember when staying home was your parents' way of punishing you because you absolutely hated staying home? Where the only pill you would ever consider taking was a Flintstone vitamin? And there wasn't a convenient acronym for what was wrong with you, so you just called it stress. Do you remember when you only needed the things that you only need? And when fun wasn't so expensive as long as you had good people with you? Do you remember when you ate because you were hungry and not because you're bored? When you were more inclined to chase an ice cream truck than the false American dream? Do you remember being at a point in time in your life where you only pretended to be someone you weren't because you knew you were just pretending? Being a slave to your instincts and not your paycheck? Do you remember being so honest with your emotions that you cried when you were sad, yelled when you were angry, and were willing to show weakness in times of struggle? Do you remember when people were more concerned with giving you a hug than their business card? Where people were more concerned with their own lives than hopping on the internet to find out what's going on with celebrities? Do you remember how driven you were before you ever held a steering wheel? And when the only time that money was the basis of your decisions was because you were going to flip a coin? The rain turned the world into a giant water park instead of a jury excuse to stay inside. Do you remember? Do you remember when you got high from climbing trees and not from smoking trees? Do you remember the early years where a kiss wasn't a segue to sex, but you literally just camped out on each other's lips? Do you remember when you weren't so afraid of everything for no reason at all? where honesty didn't require so much effort and lying didn't come so naturally? Do you remember when you were more concerned with finding the source of the pain than just finding something to make it go away? Where you could think about your future, our future, with a sense of hope and not anxiety. Before the prescription medications, when you didn't feel so broken and so beaten. Do you remember when it didn't take so much coaching to fall asleep and so much motivation to rise to the day? Do you remember looking in the mirror and absolutely and undoubtedly loving everything you saw? You see, sometimes to remember, you have to forget. Forget how many lies you've told, how many facts you have to keep straight because none of them are facts. Forget how many steps you've walked in a path that you don't even want to be on anymore. Forget the mistakes you've made. Forget how many times you've loved and lost. Forget how many times you've tried and failed. To remember the beauty. Be willing to forget the misery. Do you remember where you were standing the last time you stood for anything? If not, let this place be that place. Let this moment be that moment. You have to stand up for yourself. As much of it as you can remember. I look out and I have to tell you, this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know how old most of you are, but I grew up with this song, I Believe the Children Are Our Future. And now society has seemed to cast us away. I don't care how old you are, we're all young people here. And when I look out, I see such beauty and such hope. And I'm not being poetic and I'm not being exaggerative. I look out and I'm counting, 137, 142 people. But I don't see that. I see thousands. You see, I see your friends, your family, your coworkers, your classmates, your neighbor. These are all the people who would notice a dramatic change in you tomorrow because of what you heard tonight. I'm talking to all those people. I could just be someone who came up to the microphone, or I could be that someone. These could just be words, or these could be the words that you've been waiting to hear. I can't choose that. Only you can. I truly believe that I can take a small role and play a small part in causing beautiful things. Why can't we take this and spread it everywhere? Create this atmosphere, not where there are 140, but where just one of us stands. There's no reason. With the hurricane season, I know I'm the only person waiting for the power to go out. And do you know why? Because it's only when we are powerless that we realize how powerful we are. It's only when the lights go out and the cable goes out that we open our doors to the beauty of the world and the beauty of our neighbors. I don't want to find out how bad it needs to be before it gets better. I just want to find out the beauty that can come from a group this small in a world that big. I truly care for all of you. I truly do. I don't need to know you to love you, but I do need to love you to know you. And trust me, I love you. Thank you.